Thanksgiving night, 2012, MetLife Stadium. Rex Ryan's Jets are in another heated divisional matchup against the vaunted Bill Belichick-led New England Patriots. However, unlike their countless previous matchups, this one was about to create one of the most iconic moments in NFL history and leave a mark on the Jets organization that they still carry today.
Years ago, we talked to Tom Moore, then in Indianapolis, the offensive coordinator.
What if I told you that this bizarre play was caused by events that took place 36 years earlier? Today, we will uncover how the 0-14 Buccaneers struggles in the 1970s set off a chain reaction that led, eventually, to the butt fumble. Small moments can ripple throughout history, spiraling into webs of chaos that connect to form legendary outcomes, or in this case, infamous ones. This is the butterfly effect.
April 24th, 1974. Florida's Tampa Bay area is awarded the National Football League's 27th franchise. 7 months later, Hugh Culverhouse, a Jacksonville attorney and real estate investor, becomes owner of the new franchise. In February of 1975, the official team name is announced as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
The nexus of mayhem that led to the butt fumble began in 1976 as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers became the 27th expansion franchise in the NFL, and they were about to play their inaugural season. The citizens of Tampa Bay were ecstatic. The entire state was energized, and despite starting from scratch, the franchise was ready to start building a team that they believed would meet the expectations of the fan base and be able to handle the pressures of the NFL.
John McKay was one of the most successful college coaches in history. At the University of Southern California, his Trojan teams won an incredible 76% of their games. And McKay is one of only 3 college coaches to ever win 4 national championships.
McKay looked to continue his winning ways as he would attempt to mold the Tampa Bay organization into a franchise worthy of a title. However, despite the hope throughout Florida being at an all-time high, the harsh reality of starting a new franchise was about to set in.
No team has ever fielded a winning team in its maiden NFL season. 9 weeks of training camp and 6 exhibition games can barely familiarize players with each other, let alone mold them into a complete and polished unit. When the Tampa Bay season of '76 began in Houston, the Buccaneers found out just how far they still had to go.
Injuries and lack of experience ravaged the Buccaneers to near biblical proportions as Tampa Bay lost all 14 games in their first season, then dropped the first 12 of their second season. 26 consecutive losses marked the longest streak post-merger in NFL history. The term Bucs Fever was initially used as a marketing campaign to fuel the hope and excitement of the fans, but following each poor performance from the team, Bucs Fever ended up being more of a disease than a rallying cry.
On December 11th, 1977, it finally happened. After 26 games worth of waiting, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers made all the right plays and celebrated the first victory in the team's brief history.
As their second season was coming to an end, Tampa Bay would finally begin to reward the hope that their creation initially promised. Following their first win in franchise history and entering their third season in existence, Tampa would look to make moves that would help solidify their team for the future. Luckily, losing in the NFL does have one silver lining, as it provided them with the #1 overall pick in the upcoming 1978 NFL Draft. The Bucs' decision on what to do with that pick would ripple out and set the stage for our butterfly effect to officially commence. Instead of using the #1 pick to select a potential cornerstone player, Buccaneers general manager Phil Kruger decided to trade it to the Houston Oilers. The selection was in exchange for a pack of draft picks and Pro Bowl tight end Jimmy Giles. This move allowed Tampa Bay to address several needs across their entire roster. While this trade appeared to be innocent, it would have devastating results on the rest of the league, as this one decision presented the Houston Oilers with the opportunity to add an absolute monster to their team, a future Hall of Fame player who would terrorize everyone else for years to come.
Campbell is truly a man among boys. In pro football's passing revolution, Campbell is the aberration, the one man larger than the revolution.
Houston capitalized on Tampa's tough beginning and used their freshly acquired first overall pick to get running back Earl Campbell. And Campbell's impact on the Oilers was immediate. The beginning of his career would go down as one of the most dominant stretches by any player at any position in the history of the league.
Houston defeated Miami 35-30 as Earl Campbell gained 199 yards rushing, adding another indelible chapter to the greatest rookie season in NFL history.
Following 4 seasons in which he accumulated 6,457 yards, 55 touchdowns, 3 rushing titles, Rookie of the Year honors, and being named league MVP, Campbell's accolades and accomplishments placed him at the forefront of the league. Heading into year 5, the Oilers looked to lean on their superstar running back early as the team attempted to gain momentum to begin the 1982 season, except any momentum they gained was quickly lost due to one of the wildest events in NFL history.
Earl Campbell was off and running for 142 yards, and his touchdown with 58 seconds left in the game propelled Houston to a 23-21 victory. But just as it appeared the Oilers were ready to fly, they were deflated by a player's strike that flattened pro football.
Prior to the strike in Week 2, Houston's only win of the season came against the Seahawks behind a 142-yard performance by Campbell, one where he scored the game-winning touchdown, by the way. And that touchdown, and by extension, that win, would have far more drastic results on the Oilers than it would on Seattle. The team was left with a 1-8 record and nearly the same position they found themselves in 5 years prior. But this time around, the Oilers weren't able to secure the top overall selection as their single win pushed them out of contention for that. So Earl Campbell's brilliant performance against the Seahawks actually created a perfect storm for the Baltimore Colts to now have sole control of the #1 pick. And their decision would become one of the most pivotal moments the league has ever experienced.
Elway has been called, Chris, the best college quarterback to come out of the college ranks since Namath. Dick Steinberg has said he's got no flaws. We talked about him on our draft preview show. We'll take a look at his scouting report in just a bit, and the only thing he gets knocked down on is agility, but his arm is as good as we've ever seen. Maybe by the end of today, we'll find out if he's going to Baltimore or San Diego. That's an intriguing story, though, about Fouts that George laid on us a few moments ago, Bud.
Well, I think so, and what he decides to do, of course, would have a lot of ripples down the line.
Houston's single win in 1982 prevented them from finishing with the NFL's worst record and cost them the #1 pick in the 1983 draft. That pick, again, went to the Colts, and with it, they set their eyes on Stanford University superstar John Elway.
Baltimore selects as the first choice in the draft, quarterback John Elway of Stanford.
Following 2 seasons in which the Colts only collected a combined 2 wins, the organization was looking for a foundational reset and for a centerpiece to lean on, making Elway the obvious choice. Everything was perfect, except for the fact that Elway didn't actually want to play for the Colts. He refused to go to Baltimore because he felt the team wouldn't provide him with the opportunity to be successful. Plus, he also preferred to stay closer to the West Coast, and in the midst of rumors of the Colts moving out of Baltimore and to Indianapolis, he threatened to leave football entirely.
We had been in discussions with him 2 and 3 months before the draft that I was not going to play in Baltimore, that if that came to it, I was going to play baseball for the Yankees, and I was fortunate to have an option.
Despite Elway's distaste for the team, owner Robert Irsay called his bluff and drafted him anyway. Famously, Elway meant what he said, and his term with the Horseshoe didn't last long.
There could be another trade. In other words, maybe that jacks up the price a little bit more. We already have Elway now. Now you better come up with even a better package.
100 degrees here right now, but that's nothing compared to the temperature in the stands, where 50,000 fans have come to boo John Elway.
He said they never came to Baltimore because we're going to give them the blues.
His refusal to play for the Colts and forcing a trade is one of the most significant events in NFL history, as it directly altered the path of the entire league. Remnants of Elway's decision not only reshaped the future of the Broncos, but would trickle down and alter the fate of Baltimore, which would now move its team to Indianapolis. But more importantly, it would directly alter the fate of another Midwest city.
My commitments towards the Youngstown, Cleveland area, and me basically just wanting to go home.
The headlines herald a marriage made in heaven for a hometown boy and his favorite football team. In Bernie Kosar, the Browns got the brightest pro prospect in college football. A youngster who passed the Miami Hurricanes to a national title in his freshman year, and who packed 4 seasons of excitement into 2 years of collegiate football.
Ultimately, the Colts' decision to draft Elway was not a unanimous one. Baltimore's general manager at the time, Ernie Accorsi, was outspokenly against drafting Elway in the first place. He resigned from the team, and soon after, he was hired by the Cleveland Browns. Fueled by his need to acquire his choice at quarterback, Accorsi was determined to select the player he wanted and proceeded to engineer one of the wildest schemes the sport has ever seen. Accorsi had his eyes set on Miami Hurricanes quarterback Bernie Kosar and was willing to do anything to secure him. The Minnesota Vikings held the 2nd overall pick in the 1985 NFL Draft and were unwilling to trade with Cleveland due to the fact that they reportedly intended to draft Kosar themselves, but Accorsi had other plans.
All of a sudden, I had become aware of a rule that enabled a player to come out after just 2 football seasons in college if he graduated.
Draft-eligible players, I believe the draft was at the end of April, and they had to declare by mid-April that they were going to be eligible for the draft.
He could have graduated in May and taken enough hours to graduate in May, and then he would have been eligible for a regular draft. Or he could wait, take part of it, take the rest in the summer, and then as long as he graduated from the summer, then be eligible to play in the NFL.
He bypassed Minnesota entirely and traded for the 1st overall selection in the NFL's supplemental draft, and by appealing to the potential glory of Kosar playing for his hometown team, Accorsi convinced him to miss the deadline for the main draft, thus making him ineligible and officially primed for the supplemental draft. Then, using the Browns' 1st overall selection in that supplemental draft, the team took Kosar to be their new franchise quarterback. Would any of that work today? Probably not, no, but hey, it was the 80s. Kosar became the face of the Browns, but the NFL gods did not take kindly to Accorsi's backdoor shenanigans, as he and Kosar were doomed to get their hearts ripped out by Accorsi's previous draft pick. John Elway defeated Kosar and the Browns in 3 different AFC championships. Elway's career flourished in Denver, while the Browns completely fell apart. Cleveland's foundation would begin to crumble, and change eventually was necessary. And that change would form around a familiar figure to the events of Thanksgiving night.
For Bill Belichick is building a foundation while ignoring the quick fix. He's established a philosophy and stuck to it. For this, he gets high marks for his first year, and high hopes for his second. For this is a man driven to succeed, and determined to restore the pride and glory of the Cleveland Browns.
Following 2 lackluster seasons, a series of coaching changes eventually led to Bill Belichick being brought in as the new head coach in 1991, with former tight end Ozzie Newsome being brought in to play a pivotal role in the front office.
A first win for a rookie coach, and Cleveland had its first shutout since 1989's opening game. The 20-0 win evened the team's record at 1-1 and gave the Browns backers in Foxborough ample reason to cheer their heroes.
Accorsi left his general manager post after Belichick's first season as head coach of the Browns, as Belichick had taken control of roster decisions anyway, and with full control, Belichick started to build a winning team over the next few seasons. Now, simultaneously, as we know, Baltimore was looking for a new team to fill the hole left by the Colts, and the Browns organization was a perfect fit. Art Modell, the Browns owner, announced that the team would be relocating to Baltimore at the end of the 1995 season, and due to this announcement, it caused the once promising Browns team to collapse again and famously finish the 95 season on a 1-7 skid.
It began September 6, 1946, when the Browns played host to the Miami Seahawks and won the game 44-0 here at the stadium, and the Cleveland Browns era, as we know it, comes to an end today in this, the 51st Battle of Ohio between the Browns and the Bengals.
16-yard strike has to hurry to McCarthy. What an amazing turn of events. And quite a few fans are turning their attention to memorabilia at this point, Doug. There are whole sections here now without seats as they want to take a part of this storied place home.
The majesty of victory soon faded, and as the final moments of the Browns in Cleveland dwindled away, the players made perhaps the most heroic gesture of the NFL season.
As Dana Hall and several other players now head to the dog pound. This is quite a scene. Everyone is on their feet as the players continue to walk up in front of the dog pound. They just want to hold on to the memories, see some of the players for the final time. They just want to sit and stay warm in the memories of so many years.
Nobody wants to let this moment go. Nobody wants this team to go. Nobody inside these walls.
In the end, time ran out on the Cleveland Browns. The wood, brick, and concrete stadium on West 3rd Street now houses bare, ruined choirs whistling softly of years gone by.
While Cleveland lost a team, Baltimore gained one. And as we learned in 1976, while building a team from scratch is really, really hard to do, building one off an already existing frame, that might just actually work.
September 1st, 1996 was a day of remembrance and renewal. After 13 years of silent Sundays, Baltimore celebrated the return of the NFL and the birth of the Baltimore Ravens.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Memorial Stadium, a historic afternoon here in Baltimore as the old girl is back in town. Yes, it's been since December of '83 that a Baltimore team has played pro football here at Memorial Stadium, and this afternoon, the Baltimore Ravens, coached by Ted Marchibroda, former head coach of the Baltimore Colts, open up a new chapter of Baltimore football history against the Oakland Raiders.
Once the team officially moved to Baltimore in 1996, Belichick was let go, while Ozzie Newsome would stay and take over control as the official general manager. Newsome would start his Baltimore GM career with a bang, drafting both Ray Lewis and Jonathan Ogden in 1996. And that was pivotal, of course, because that helped complete a Ravens defense that would go on just a few years later to be one of the best in NFL history, and it was so good that it led them straight to the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl 35 earned the Ravens their 11th straight victory and a place high atop Pro Football Summit. A remarkable achievement by a team only 5 years old. For a city that had waited 30 years, it was a dream fulfilled. The Baltimore Ravens, a team of destiny, and now world champions.
As we know, in the NFL, maintaining success isn't that easy. Everyone wanted a piece of the Ravens' winning formula, and coming off the success that defense brought with it spawned a large coaching tree that would dig its roots throughout the league. In Baltimore, Marvin Lewis was initially brought in as the defensive coordinator in 1996 before leaving in 2001, and with a Super Bowl title to his name, this helped him to become the highest paid DC for Washington and eventually the head coach of the Ravens' division rival, the Cincinnati Bengals, for a whole 16 seasons. After Marvin Lewis's departure, head coach Brian Billick would fill the role with former receivers coach Mike Nolan. Following a 3-year stint with Nolan, he would eventually become the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers in 2005, and then with yet another need for a new defensive coordinator, Billick would go on to promote their defensive line coach who had been with the team since 1999, a name who he believed could help revive the Ravens to somewhat resemble their 2000 form. The team's defense thrived under one of the most influential defensive minds of his era, Rex Ryan.
After coaching the defensive line for the last 6 years, Rex Ryan has been promoted to defensive coordinator. Baltimore is confident these changes will make it competitive for years to come.
In 2005, Ryan helped to rebuild a fierce Ravens defense, and following 3 seasons of success in Baltimore, he became the head coach of the New York Jets in 2009. Now, acting as a head coach, Ryan's first big move in the Big Apple would be the final piece to connecting 36 years of webbing.
The year began with the hiring of a new head coach and the dawning of a bold new approach.
Ground and pound, baby. Ground and pound, oh.
Ground and pound is more than just a power running game. It's an attitude of toughness that extends to all phases.
In his first year as head coach, Rex Ryan would trade up and select Mark Sanchez, a quarterback out of USC. And with Sanchez and Ryan in place at the helm, they had legit success together thanks to an incredible defense and a culture that was infused with Ryan's personality. During that initial season together, they led the Jets to the AFC Championship game before falling to the Colts, the Indianapolis Colts this time, not the Baltimore Colts. And despite that prolific start and all of their early accomplishments, nothing was more highly regarded than their intense rivalry against their most hated AFC East foe.
Hey, this is Rex Ryan, the head coach of the New York Jets. I've already admitted that, hey, the Patriots have a better head coach and they got a better quarterback than us. But we're going to see who's got a better team. The reason I'm so confident is that they got to face you and they got to face the rest of our fans. And my challenge to you is we need you at your best.
Rex Ryan's Jets clashed repeatedly with Belichick's Patriots throughout the 2009 to 2011 seasons. Both teams traded victories, with the Jets' claim to fame being an upset in Foxborough in 2010 on their way to their second consecutive AFC Championship game, which, by the way, they lost that one too, this time against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And as we know, getting that deep in the playoffs takes a toll on the locker room, and the culture that Rex Ryan brought from the Ravens started to fade away.
I've been down before, but I'm going to come out. My back's on the wall. I'm punching. I'm punching somebody. I'm bringing everything I got. And our team will too. I believe that.
By 2012, the Jets were struggling. The team was 4-6 and in desperate need of a season-shifting spark that perhaps a divisional win on the national stage could provide. Which, of course, brings us back to Thanksgiving night, 2012, MetLife Stadium. The Patriots are up by 14 points, second quarter, 9 minutes and 11 seconds on the clock. Mark Sanchez took a snap, scrambled forward, and...
We talked to Tom Moore then at Indianapolis, the offensive coordinator. You got a busted play here, and then Sanchez gets hit. The ball is loose, and it's alive. And then going into the end zone is Steve Gregory, who's had an interception, 2 fumble recoveries, and a touchdown.
The aftermath of the butt fumble had much larger ramifications on the organization than just a simple turnover, as they wouldn't just lose possession of the ball, but they lost possession of their very identity. Following that 2012 season, Mark Sanchez would never start another game for the Jets. Rex Ryan was fired 2 years later, and ever since then, the Jets as a franchise have been stuck waiting for their head coach and quarterback combination of the future that can take them back to the postseason, a destination Gang Green hasn't even reached since their 2010 victory over the Patriots. So after all that, what can actually be gained from this? Perhaps the moral of the story is that while NFL history is written by the victor, it is often created from the ashes of the losers. Time and time again throughout the web of chaos, failure is what incites change and sparks growth. No team wins without struggle, and history reflects kindly on those who choose to learn from it and not repeat the same mistakes. The NFL is the perfect experiment to see that process in action. Small decisions form into legendary consequences. Every player, every coach, every play, and every fumble matters.